Make sure I go live on
Oh yeah.
Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm live on the gram.
I'm right there with you. Ooh, child. I hope y'all ready. Because we're going to be talking about why some of us are in toxic relationships. Or maybe your relationship ain't that toxic. It's just that you're in something that's over functioning. You think it's toxic, but you're over functioning in your relationship and you're exhausted. And so we're going to be going behind the mic today because we talked about this on our episode part 2 of The Ugly Side of Love. And that is how enablement is killing intimacy in your relationship. So,
Mm.
oh, I hope y'all ready. Drop your comments, your questions. I'll make sure we share the link. If you have not listened to this episode, I promise you, you want to go back to listen to it because
Mm.
it was game changing. It was game changing, and we really dropped some gems on not just enablement, but also what does safety really look like, and it shouldn't look
Mhm.
like you having to abandon who you are in the relationship in
Uh-oh.
order to be fully present. Not
You already gave me some thoughts already from that last statement you just said. I said, see, you trying to have these people get knocked out early.
or
Usually people,
you the one up here eating with the people.
yeah, I mean, it's in the middle of the day. What you mean? We family now. We didn't got on to their business, exposing their hearts, telling their relationship is trash. We should feel encouraged enough to go ahead and have a little lunch break.
Y'all share
We
the live.
home.
Share
We
the
home.
live. I'm so glad
Baby,
you're
we
home,
home.
Jared. I'm so glad
Listen,
you're home.
we are people.
Y'all pray for me.
Yeah. Ain't no rapper shaking.
It's nothing.
Ain't no burger. Ain't none
So
of
let
that.
me ask you this. What you thought about? Because you said it made you think. What did you think about?
You said that people should not have to abandon who they are for the sake
Mm-hmm.
of loving someone in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I started thinking, what if the version of you that you thought was supposed to be made for love is the actual version of you have to abandon? What if it was the wrong version you were never intended to be?
What if it was the wrong version that you weren't intended to be? Hmm.
So I'll create an example. Let's say you've been in this season
Mm-hmm.
where you have been cultivating all this self love and all of
Why you
this.
got all that with the self
um,
love? That's
yeah,
how it makes you feel.
it's about me, right? Self love, it's about me. The
Yeah, go
care
ahead
of
with it.
me, the love of
Mm-hmm.
me, the pouring
Mm-hmm.
into myself, the making sure that I love myself first and making sure that my world is formed by the peace that's of my own understanding and never tolerating how I was treated in the past and I don't have any capacity for people who have low vibrations, right? Let's just say that's what you think you being prepared for love looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get into love and realize that all that version of you thought was made for love actually opposes it. What happens
Mm.
if God causes you and says to you, oh, this version is not qualified for the love that I made? Will you
Mm.
allow yourself to be completely remade and undone in a relationship while the Lord is doing it while you're connected to another person?
So it's given building the plane while flying. That's what it's giving. um, if I'm answering for Lauren, right, for myself, I feel like my whole life has been building the plane while flying. So, um,
Mhm,
yeah, I would.
mhm,
But I'm also a person who likes challenges. I'm also a person who enjoys change. I'm also a person who doesn't see I don't see challenges like most people do.
mhm,
So when I hear problems, or if I see a challenge, I hear like ching ching ching.
mhm.
So my brain is always thinking that way. So even, I mean, because my whole life has been, especially up to this point of me understanding, okay, all that I had to go through was for these moments that I'm in now.
Mm-hmm.
They prepared me for these moments. Um, I have a
Mm-hmm.
very different lens on what it looks like to have to go through change, and not just change, but also being okay with, like, what if I was getting it wrong the last umpteen years? And now at 38, with one gray hair, I'm finally getting it right. So, I think when you're not open to change, then you're probably just open to the grave at that point. Because
Open.
to die. Because things are gonna change. If you're a person that struggles with change and you're not open to change, I, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you, because things are gonna change all the time.
Hmm.
So you need to be okay with that.
Okay.
That's just my 2 cents.
I like the dime you
Y'all can
gave.
drop it in the
I'll
chat what
I'll
y'all think.
raise you. I'll raise you eight more cents to make it a
Come
dime
on.
because I thought it was good.
Not looking for a dime.
The statement was based on enablement, which is a huge core of what we talked about in the last episode.
It was.
Have we ever thought that the person we have enabled the most is ourselves?
Mm, child. No. Because we always be like, I enable that. Like, we take ownership of it for the other party, but I don't think we have ever taken. I mean, I've never taken ownership of it for myself. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
Linda. Linda said, "You still a baby, 38." I am, honey.
Hi, Linda. Yeah,
That's a good
it's
question.
yeah. We always like if you ever hear topics about enablement, it's
Mm-hmm.
always about the other person in the relationship, but never about our relationship with ourselves. And the person who I think we give the most empowerment to ensure that our truth about ourselves, our reality about ourselves, our lens
Mm-hmm.
about ourselves, our quality of life that we think that we should have, all these things that we have become so declarative about, we have not only demanded ourselves to create a foundation where we are always encouraging, uplifting, affirming all of these mantras about what a life is
Mm-hmm.
and what love is. And the person who's doing the enabling is us. And then we get in a relationship, watch this, and somebody opposes that. And the thing that's in them to oppose it is godly. And we would say that they can't be right for us because how dare they oppose something that I have come to a declaration in and of myself. So now,
Mm-hmm.
anybody who won't surrender to the enablement of my own self ability can no longer be in the ecosystem of my life or relationship. So, enablement doesn't just work with how am I causing someone else to be withheld from taking up their cross, from allowing God to be the source of their life, or allowing God to be their healer, their counselor, everything that they are needful of life. We are standing in the way of because we're trying to remove Jesus for the thing that only he can be. We think that it's
Mm-hmm.
our job to be the mediator between them and the Father. We think it's our job that only I'm the only one who you could get to the Father through, right? So, but now there's the enablement of self where we've already declared ourselves to be God.
Mm-hmm.
We've already put a throne in the middle of our life and said if you don't come and bow to it, then you can't walk with me. So there's so many levels and layers of enablement that I think are so beautiful for us to navigate that it's not just about how we enable another partner, but how do we already walk in it in ourselves coming into a relationship and then make everybody else bow to an idealistic view of something that you call love.
Mm, not an idealistic view, Lord. Um, you went there today, huh?
You say it. I thought you'd be saying stuff and stuff percolate. I told you.
You're right, Jay. You're absolutely right. So
Hmm.
Okay, so then how do we start out into bring as people are joining us into this conversation of where we are?
Hmm.
Um, where do we say this starts?
Mm. Wait, which part?
The part of
The
us, I guess, relationship with self and the enablement that we have with self.
mm. So self enablement is born when we think that something is lacking in our life,
Mm-hmm.
and we go to ourselves and our own ability to bring it forth, right? So we go to our own skills, our own strength, our own endurance, our own
Mm-hmm.
perseverance, our own dreams, our own goals, our own boundaries, our own, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
start to have this narcissistic view where all of a sudden, when I start looking at myself as my own life giver, that's where it starts. So, in
Mm.
order to bring that to an end, I have to come to a place where I realize that I can't give myself life, and God is the only person that can do that. So,
Yeah.
if you're not letting God persuade you that He is the life giver, and the qualifier is that is, can you lift yourself up out of the grave? And if that doesn't persuade you, how can somebody else can that's human, that's a human being in a relationship?
Mm-hmm.
So we are already in a space of cold heartedness. We are already in a space of disconnection. We are already in a space of hard heartedness where our heart is so stony that life can only be found based on our ability of where we think we are the source of it is praised. And we call that love. And can I tell you, a lot of this soft life movement stuff is a lot of that.
Mm.
A lot of what patriarchy and people have born it to be is a lot of that. And we have made the ability of oneself as the throne room of relationship. And if you don't come to bring forth praise and all of this exalting as if I am the Lord of self, then I call that something that opposes love, only to realize that the thing that we're in ain't even love at all.
So basically, in prison.
Yeah, we're in a prison that we've built ourselves, but we think, but because it's material, and because from our earthly point of view, and because of our senses to it, we start to look at it and say, "Oh man, like this person has a beautiful life." You ever notice in the world that
Mm-hmm.
people who are found very attractive, who have an image, a physical form,
Mm-hmm.
uh, a person who has really nice things, person who has a lot of money, if you have something that's material that
Yeah.
makes the world say, well, they must be doing something right because look at what all they have,
Come
right?
on.
What we have done is we have allowed our senses to be submitted to the illusion of where life is found because this person has stocked up on all material and dead and non-eternal things that we think that they have found the answer unto life. And so what happens is these people are so used to being exalted. That's why you see it in ministry all the time, where churches are so perverted, why companies are so perverted, why the
Mm-hmm.
government is so perverted. Where we see perversion in the world is found where people have exalted themselves. And because people see an earthly or material result, they think that they have the answer to where life is found. And then all of a sudden, now we're in the submission to another idol called your
Mm.
spouse, called your mentor, called your parent, called a celebrity, called your pastor. We start looking at the creature because all of these earthbound things start to stir up in our senses. Oh, I got to be with this person because they have what I think I need.
Yeah.
And we call that submission, but it's really bondage. And we can't
Mm.
tell the difference between the two. So we're enabling someone, thinking we're loving them, only to realize we're only in bondage.
Mm. So
So
we ain't in love with them at all, and no connection.
we don't even know what love is because we're looking at the earth to tell us what it is. And the earth wasn't present where love was always was. It was just the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. There was no heaven and earth made yet. So where was love then? Did heaven and earth had to be made first in order for love to come to be? I would say no. Is God Alpha and Omega? Would you say yes or no to that, Lauren?
I would say yeah.
Okay, so if Alpha already was and they were just existing amongst their fellowship and nothing was made, they were there before anything else started, before in the beginning, then their
Mhm.
love was. Heaven and earth was not made yet. So the corruption that gets sown in us when it comes to relationships, we start thinking the creation is the only thing that can materialize what love looks like instead of them who always were.
Mm. Come on, not them knows or say it again, Jer.
We start looking at creation
Mhm.
and what it can materialize as love instead of them who always were. So if love is not eternal, the scripture
Mhm.
says love always wins. Well, how does love always win, Lauren? That's a question I think all of us would ask. How does it always win? Well, the only way that love could always win is it has to be eternal.
Correct.
So you know what love outlasts? Everything unloving. So how can we materialize love through anything of the earth or anything that is creature born when none of those things are eternal? Then that love can't win, which means I'm not rested in a love that comes from God.
Mm.
So now when we get together, right?
Mhm.
Now we start coming up with mixture that brings forth self-enablement. Who's my person? What is our purpose? What are we called to do on the earth? And how do we build all these towers of influence to show people that this is my person? And you don't see it anywhere in the garden. Where did God say that to them? Were they lacking anything where Adam and Eve, before sin and death entered, where they needed to stir something up in the earthly life to prove that God had ordained them? So where
Yeah.
do we get that wisdom from? We're already bound in a wisdom where we're self-enabling. Look at all the things that we've created in order to prove that we are of God. And there's nowhere that says that. But we start to percolate that even as believers or non-believers. And we're like, this is the proof that we have all these dreams and goals and infrastructures. And if we build this thing, then people will know this is the person I was made to be with. And God ain't never said that.
Mm.
If that was the case, if we're the bride of Christ, what have we built for the Lord in order for his name to be proven that we are made to be with him? Don't worry, I'll wait.
Not to worry, I'll wait.
Did
So
you inherit what he established, or did you help build it? Are you an inheritor or are you a co-constructor?
inheritor.
So if you're an inheritor, Lauren,
Mm-hmm.
then how can you be a part of a love with God where you did no work, you did nothing to achieve what God achieved, but you inherited as though you did it, and then come into a relationship and build love off of something that opposes what you and God are in?
Mm. So let's go into that. Let's go into that because
I
I'll be
know.
getting jail. I'll be getting jail
You
right off the
started it.
stove.
You
Okay.
did it right off of it too. It's hot there.
And hey, our
Mhm.
Instagram family, we see y'all joining us.
Yeah.
So when we talk about, because you said a lot, so when we talk
Yeah.
about it opposing what us and God are in,
Yeah.
how do we communicate what is it that us and God are in, and then identifying? Because if we don't know how to communicate that,
Yeah.
then it's going to be hard for us to identify if we're in something that opposes the
Right.
thing.
Okay. So how do we know what us and God are in? Well, it's all revealed in Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Human and divinity become one. Everything that you see of Jesus's life, he was never looking on to anything created to give him the truth or the discernment about where life is found. And so all of Jesus's human life was found in him looking to the Father, knowing that that's the only place where life was found. So there was nowhere else to look to outside of the Father.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what we have with God is found in that which is in Jesus, where we are know that as a human being, I was made to behold a God in all of his goodness, in all of his mercy, in all of his grace, in all of his love, in all of his nature, in all of the things that makes him such a wonder to behold, that I start looking at this God and a substance is born in me that I was made to be one with him. And there's nobody else I look to try to give me what I need other than God.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's in Jesus, and that's what's born in us when we become a new creation. I've died to needing everything outside of God to meet my needs. That's what that life looks like. Well, how do we put that into the frying pan, as you would say, to discern what can stand the hotness of the stove of the frying pan? Well, I would start putting what somebody starts declaring what they need. When we're in
Mm.
relationship, what's the first thing you interview, whether you're dating, whether you're in a friendship, or whether you're in parental? What I need, what I need, what I need. If you can't meet my need, let me know so you don't waste my time. We do it with our parents. We do it with family members. We do it with our friends. If this person can't keep up with me, if this person isn't matching my dreams, if this person doesn't in the space where they're succeeding in their goals, if this person isn't working out, if this person isn't going to therapy. So all these things that we need that we think will bring us satisfaction concerning a life or a relationship or love, it will get in that frying pan and you'll realize it cannot stand the flame of that because it ain't born on our life with God. It's born into lack.
Mm.
Right? So that's what starts to show up. Anything you put in a fire that does not remain lets you know it ain't born of God. Well, what are we putting in the fire, Lauren? I'm putting in where you find life and what you think is to meet your needs. That's the core of how we discern all things concerning relationships. What is it that you think you need from me? Well,
Yeah.
I need you to build safety. Well, do you already have safety with God? Would be the
Hmm.
question that I would ask. Do you feel safe with the Lord? So my question is, if you start feeling pain towards me, does that pain tell you you're not safe? Or are you seeing that even when pain shows up, you're still one with the Father? That means you're still in safety. So if you're depending on me as the source of your safety in order for love to be born in us, that already tells me that this can't remain in the fire because I can't give you that. The only safety that I can provide, as I said in the clip that I posted, is to tell you I will never be God to you. I can't
Yeah.
heal you. I can't fix you. I can't conform your image. I can't bring you resurrection. I can't bring you a life where I can satisfy all things and I'll run out. I run out. I run out for myself. That's why I died to me, because I kept running out of trying to love myself.
Yeah.
Soon as my nervous system triggers, there's something Jeremy got to figure out. As soon as trauma comes up, it's something Jeremy's got to figure out. As soon as Ava gets too heavy for me to do it as a single parent, there's something I got to figure out. And I started realizing, God, I don't have the capacity to love myself. And God's like, that's why I put myself inside of you. So you would no longer have to worry about clothing yourself. I do all the loving and care for Jeremy, so you can just be. So self-love isn't about figuring out how when something happens to Jeremy, I tend to myself. It's when I see things happen to me, I see God tending to me. That's self-love. So now when I put it on the frying pan of relationship, I no longer depend on this person to come and resolve things for me in order for me to feel like everything is satisfied and resolved in my life.
Okay, so let's pause right there.
Okay, go ahead.
Woo!
Let's
Let's
go.
pause right there because there's so many good gems. So one of the things that my heart heard you say, which means it didn't come out of his mouth, but this is what I heard.
Yeah.
Anytime we're solving for need, then we're already in lack.
Already.
And what tends to happen when we look at it in the course of relationship is we then latch on to a person and try to force them to meet a need that only God can fill.
Only God can fill.
And so if we go back to the sermon that you had shared with our good pastor,
Yep.
he talks about solving for fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
And how oftentimes what we do is we look to other things to try to fulfill us versus going to the Father. So we try to go do our own thing. I'm gonna go get this, do this, do this, and we try to operate in our own strength, only to try to like avoid the thing that we should have gone to in the first place. And then we go to God as like a last resort, because now we done tried everything on our own and we're like, I can't, I've tried everything on my own and I can't. So now can I come over here with you?
So what you're saying is so good. What we're discussing is the reason. It is the root of divorce. The root of divorce is founded in two people needing each other for life in one another.
Which is why they can't make it last forever.
Because they can't give each other that.
Correct.
Irreconcilable differences are two people coming to the fact, I can't give you life.
No.
But instead of going to the Father to reconcile them as the life giver, they see that they can't do it. So they end the relationship instead of allowing themselves to die. The relationship ain't the problem. It's you not willing to die so that you can see where life is found. So even in the divorce, that's enablement. Well, I know that I'm capable of doing it. I just can't do it with you. Well, I know I'm capable of doing it. I just can't do it with you. So then we get in the second marriage. Then we get in the third marriage. Then we get in the fourth one. Or we're in a marriage where we allow someone to let us become their idol and they become ours.
And
then they say, we've lasted 40 years, but you've been in idolatry.
Yeah.
Just because y'all die together doesn't mean you were in a life together. And so what we do is, if somebody buries you, we call that the success of marriage. And it is not. It's bondage. Like you said, it's a prison, and both people were just content with being bound together. They were willing to suffer in death all together. But that ain't what marriage is for. Marriage says the mystery is found, not that a man loves a wife like he loves his own body, so that the revelation of Christ loving the church is revealed to the world. So when we're walking in oneness together in marriage, what's supposed to be revealed is there's a life in us that ain't found in ourselves. How can you exalt your wife and how can she exalt you? And no one has to argue over who's being exalted the most. How can you be so generous and not worry about what this person is giving or lacking in, and know that you have all things and you're content and this person can struggle? How does that happen? Well, I came into this relationship with this person already having all the things that I needed. I didn't choose them out of fulfillment. I chose them out of enjoyment. And we don't know the difference between the two. We think fulfillment is enjoyment, and they're not the same. They're not the same. You can only enjoy someone when you realize you lack nothing. Hi, girl, let's say that again. You can only enjoy someone when you have been persuaded by God that you lack nothing. When we choose partnership with people, the intention of that partnership is to say, God, just the same way that the fellowship of the Godhead, this abounding love, this overflowing grace, and all this fellowshipping, that the Father is exalting the Son and the Son is exalting the Father, and they're exalting the Spirit, and they're all exalting one another. And it's an overflow and immeasurable substance of love and fellowship that they were like, we got to share this with somebody. We got to bring someone into this. Well, that's how we choose a person. We're so overwhelmed by the love of God that my life is so fulfilled, that my life is so satisfied, that my life is so overflowing. I have so much of you, God. I want to partake of this with someone else. That's how we're made to choose a person. But when we choose a person based on our human experiences and we choose somebody based on our earthly perception, we are always going to choose from a lack mentality. We are always going to choose from a person trying to satisfy something that always God was intended. Because when God brought us into the adoption and the inheritance of the family of the Godhead, he did not need anything earthly or heavenly in order to make sure that that life was satisfied. He only needed himself.
So here we go. So if you're choosing from a space of need, that is how we get into bondage.
Yep.
That's good, that Jer.
We're already
that just saved us. That
already. It's the salvation right there, right?
Yeah.
That's the repentance.
Yeah.
I'm longing for life, and I realize there's nothing on earth, and there's not a creature to be found that can give it to me.
No.
Watch this. Let's go in scripture.
Let's go.
God said to Adam, "It's not good for you to be alone." When Adam started looking throughout the garden, he realized that he couldn't see something with God's life in it to choose from because that's all he knew. So he had to go back to God, who is the only person who can put life inside of something that can be animated so he can see what he is in the thing. But we don't go to God to bring us something that has him inside of it. We go to God to bring us something that has our need inside of it.
Now I need the O.
And so we're asking God to literally bring another idol into our life only to understand that he's a jealous God.
He said, I sent for enjoyment, not for idol. But here we are.
Listen. And when you start to rest in that love with someone, you know what starts to happen? All of the lies about what you thought you needed start to come to the surface. And God is like, when my love shows up in a person and they're loving you the way that I love you, their love is supposed to draw you in your senses and all of your livelihood into seeing me through them, not yourself, and not where your life is found. And I love that we like uplift our spouses, and I love that we like post about them, uplift them up. But we also have to be careful because sometimes we can exalt our spouse because we think that someone is making us so happy and someone is so tending to us that we have thought that has become the source of our life. And we're no longer depending on God now that this person is here.
And so this person's no longer depending on God either.
And they're not depending on God either. And so now, right? So now we're in a form of godliness because we do all these things together. This must be godly. And God's like, I ain't seen y'all since y'all came together.
Not where y'all went. Not where are y'all after they ate the apple? Where y'all at? Erica says she ready for tonight's Bible study. No, but Jared, that is so good. And so many of us have been in these types of relationships where we're looking for life to be found with this person, and we're saying things like, they just make me happy. Well, you should have already come with your own happy. It shouldn't take me, because then now that means that job description is now in my scope of work. It's not in my scope of work to make sure that you happy. You saying that's not my scope of work. So when we start looking at relationships and people, and then we're mad when people can't meet the need, because the real issue is that there's an abandonment trauma that you're dealing with. That ain't even got nothing to do with me. Now I'm over here trying to save you while losing me. And God's like, what are y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's really going on here? Because this is not what this was not the intent that I had when I created the both of you. Right. Yeah. That wasn't the intent. The intent was not for you to so fall in love with this person that you fall out of love with love.
Right. Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if anything, it's been more of a almost like we've been programmed that way, like you get a husband, you get a spouse, then our wife, and then y'all make children, and then y'all buy the house, and then y'all go on the vacations. And okay, then we do all of that. Then what?
Yep. Yep.
Now we're
Yep.
back. Now we're back at these differences that are keeping us divided because
Man.
we love God completely out of the equation.
Yep.
When we would have
It's
never been in the equation had it not been for God.
had it not been for God. Right. Here's what's interesting. What I find so interesting, we ask the Lord and we say, God, can you bring us a person? Let's say the Lord favors a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we believe the Lord did it. We see the Lord doing it. We see the
Yeah.
Lord sustaining it. Well, I would start to behold and get really curious. God, I know that you can do all things. And I'm literally seeing you, who is invisible form in this human being to show me how much you love me, that you wanted to bring someone who is so in oneness with you that when I'm with them, I'm with you. I would start to think how two people don't start making the life that they have on earth together about beholding that God in everything they do. How do you lose the amazement? How do you lose the wonder? How do you get caught up in how many houses we got and how blessed we are and how big the ministry is and us writing books? I'm not saying those things aren't great because they're cool, but we start getting caught up in this like earthly audience, and we long for the world and the church to give us a bow and a praise for having the representation of God instead of actually staying in the silent and private audience of being with God alone. How do we lose the wonder is the question. That's what's so sad. And then we start arguing with one another, like we see on so many social media platforms, about so many churches and their leaders, because now their marriage looks so earthly, the church is concerned about it. And then they get mad because the people are like, why do you look so earthly? So now the church is divided from one another because they're looking to the two people who God joined together to show them how to behold God. And then they start beholding the earthly life of one another and then get mad when the people are like, why don't we see God anymore? So now, is it not just the enablement of relationship between two people? We're talking about the enablement that affects the perversity of the body.
Okay. First of all, it's the when I'm with God, like when I'm with the person, I'm with God too. Like it's that, but that's the end of life for me. I done went on. Is there one like what? Like that needs to be the measure. Like God, do I feel closer to God when I'm with you? Is it because that's really it. Do I see him? Do I feel him when I'm with you? Because that is truly us being in oneness. Now we're in the three-stranded cord, right? And we're almost like having this similar experience that he had before he created us, but we're having it in our level of life, of understanding. And it just being such a beautiful thing, and just another reminder of the lie that the enemy tried. He didn't try. He sold it to Eve, which was that there was some separation, that there was going to be some like God was trying to keep them out of this. Like you at this realm, but you really could get to this realm if you got this. And God's like, when I created you, you lacked nothing. What I was experiencing, I made sure you get to experience it too. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't leave you out. I brought you in. And you didn't have to do any of the work.
Nothing.
And in our relationships, we're not experiencing God in them. We're not even experiencing, like, we're not going into different rooms with God. We're not even diving into deeper things with God with other people because we're so busy being happy that we just got somebody. Even if they're leading us. Are we leading them to demise?
Well, what this exposes is it goes back to the root of this conversation. Self-enablement.
Yeah.
If I'm in self-enablement before this person shows up, and I believe that I'm in intimacy with God,
Mm-hmm.
then if I can't be in God's life and be concerned about God's life and be curious about God's life and start to reflect on God's life as I'm being tied to it, then guess what happens when another person shows up? I won't be able to reflect anything about their life because they're only here to reflect about mine.
Not they
So
only hear reflect about my life.
when you hear a lot of marriage couples in therapy and
Oh.
they start talking about what they're lacking from one another,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And when you hear them start talking, oh, he doesn't communicate, he doesn't want to be intimate, she's short with me, she doesn't meet me where I'm at, all these things. You know what I start hearing? I start hearing that they've taken their eyes about what they need from God. Because I guarantee you, if we start communicating with the Father, even
Mm-hmm.
if our partner isn't communicating with us, the
Yeah.
Father and the intimacy that we have with Him, we're going to see this other person, even if they're falling short in something, and we're still going to be able to have a love that pours out because we realize that even if they're falling short or lacking in an area, it doesn't mean I'm lacking in the relationship, and we don't know how to compartmentalize between the two.
Because
If
we're
you're
too busy trying to save them.
not only just trying to save them, but the reason why we try to save them, Lauren, is so we can get back to you giving me what I need.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Yeah.
can't be salvation.
No, but it
Listen,
is doom.
oh, Lauren, you just tapped into something. Let's go there. It can't be salvation because
Yeah.
the only reason why God's salvation is true is because He didn't save you to get something or need something from you. So
Come
if
on.
I'm trying to save somebody to get something from them, it can't be salvation.
No.
So what we're doing is we're trying to persuade them back into a space of bondage that if I can uplift them so that they can get back to giving me what I need, then
Yeah.
my life is found in completion again. Now the fulfillment train is back, and now I can start sucking the life out of them and sucking the life out of them and continue to suck the, and then there's this spell where they keep running dry. Keep
Yeah.
running dry. Let's go to therapy. Keep running dry. Keep running. Let's go sit with pastor. Keep running dry. Keep running dry because they think the lifeline is one another.
And
Right?
it's not. It's not. It's the Father. He is the life giver. So when we see that, I often question and ask, how often do we pray together? How
Mm,
often are we bringing these grievances to God?
mhm, mhm,
Are we bringing them to God separately, individually? What is this looking like? Because when we don't bring it to Him, then
mhm,
we bring it to Father, then we're bringing it to Him, and now we're mad that the man can't fix it. Why you keep acting like that? Why you keep that? I don't understand it. Well, if you just bring it to his daddy, bring it
mhm,
to him. And if you really want to know how to show up in this, like, how do I walk alongside this person, not save them,
mhm,
walk on the side of them as they're walking to you? Maybe they just need somebody to reach out and touch somebody's hand, and we're going to walk together. How do
mhm,
I do that without trying to control the situation? Because let's go back to Genesis. After the fall, what did he say to the woman? He said, "You're going to have painful pregnancies. Childbirth
mhm,
is going to be painful." And he said, "You're going to try to control your husband, but he will
mhm,
rule over
mhm,
you." And when people hear that, they hear it as this curse. But honestly, if we lean into it, it's order. Because when you look at the word rule, by definition,
mhm,
is order, right?
mhm,
So if we're looking at it from a space of order, control is connected to fear. So if
mhm,
we're trying to control over you, then there's something that we're in fear of. There's something
mhm,
that we're in lack of, which is why we're not in fulfillment. And that is out of order. And anytime something is out of order, it doesn't work. But
mhm,
when you have the proper order, now you have
mhm,
covering. There's things that come with a rule. There's
mhm,
boundaries in a rule. There's a
mhm,
system in a rule. So there's a system of success that happens when you have a rule. But
mhm,
people don't like that. Because they feel like rules are meant to be broken. By who?
mhm.
They're not
What's
meant
the
to be
rule?
broken.
So what's the rule
The rule
of what you're
which
talking about regarding relationships? You see how people oppose it.
Oh yeah. So when we think about what's the rule, we go back to what does the word say?
Mm,
How are we supposed to show up? Because God is the word is what gives us these commandments, right? We have the 10 commandments. We have the explanation of how we should show up as husband, as wife. Proverbs
mhm,
31, Ephesians 5, how we should show up in family. So when we go back to the word is the it gives us the blueprint of what this should look like as we're operating in this life, right?
mm,
So that's where the rule is. It's not
mm,
and the rule is not about control. It's not it at all. If anything, it's how to help you win, how to enjoy fulfillment. How do we stay in these things? And God gives us these examples and these stories in his word of other people, right?
mhm,
That we can even see ourselves in, but most importantly, see God in it all because he's
mm,
showing you what was it like for me to come
mhm,
from heaven to earth, to
mhm,
come clothed in the same flesh that you have.
mhm,
And it wasn't that his life was simple. So we
mm,
shouldn't be looking for that, right?
mm,
If we're doing what we see the Father do, what do we
mm,
see him doing? That
mm,
goes back to helping us identify, okay, the things that we're doing that are out of alignment, how do we get back and how do we get this together where we are not trying to be each other's gods, where we're
mhm,
not trying to control the other person because we know that's connected to fear. And if we're operating in that, then there also means that vulnerability is not present. So then
mm,
truth is not either, right?
mm,
So we're trying to solve a problem that ain't really the problem. How do we
mhm,
get back on track? And I
mm,
think that is something that oftentimes we're not really thinking about because we're trying to be right about the person.
mhm,
And that's more important to us than us really looking at what was God's initial design and intent when he created us.
mhm, mm. Okay. There's a lot I want to dive into that. I was like,
Come on. I
I
already
love
know.
it. No, I love it. So when we talk about the rule, God's intent, when we talk about relationships and we talk about rulership, it is the expression of the Godhead, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we see male and female and we see rulership, God sees them being under the canopy and into the intimacy of the fellowship of the Godhead. So
Mm-hmm.
it's an equal form of submission. And what
Mm-hmm.
that means is both are walking in the fruit of the spirit, and that's not genderized, it's spiritualized, right?
Correct.
And so what we do is we start to genderize how a man should be, then we start to genderize how a woman should be, and then we let the world tell us how he should be. And then now we're in gender wars, and God's like, well, the fruit of the spirit is for anybody that's in and of my life.
Correct.
So to simplify how we stay under the rule of love is that we would be dependent upon God as the love that we were made for. This is
Mm-hmm.
why God says, I knew you
Come on.
before you were
Before.
formed in your mother's womb.
Mm-hmm.
What does that start to tell me, Lauren? What do I start to wrestle with when I hear that? That before any other relationship was formed, I was already known by the person I was made for. I'm going to say
Correct.
it one more time.
Come on.
Before any other relationship was formed, I was already known by the person I was made for. Here's where we get tripped up. We think that we are made to be known by the people we are made by instead of the people we were made for and the person we were made for.
Uh-huh.
So the pain that comes that I'm supposed to be known by these people. Why would they hurt me? Why would they abandon me? Why do they not equalize their love? Why did they reject me? Why did they
Mm-hmm.
do this to me? Why? And I'm not saying those things aren't harmful. And I'm not saying that those things don't cause a wound or a trauma. That's a real experience. And I'm not here to remove it. But what I
No.
am here to tell you is that because we were made from the image of God, not the image of our parents, not the image of the people who hurt us, not the image of pain. This is where we get stuck, Lauren. This is where we come out of the rulership of love over our lives and in our lives, is because all of our earthly experiences, we start to have it sensed, and our senses start to tell us that this is where life is found, and this is where love was made to be found. And that couldn't be further from the lie. So now love I can only stay under love's rule as long as a person comes in to make sure that none of these things that have happened in my life happen again.
Yeah. Ooh, come on, Jay.
And the only person who can give you that kind of love is God.
I can't promise you that.
When pain shows up, this is where we struggle. I say this all the time because I think it's one of the biggest struggles in humankind. When pain shows up, we start to sense something is wrong with us and something is wrong with another person. And then when something is wrong, we go back to the knowledge of good and evil, which brings forth death. And then we start to articulate all the pain that we're sensing and feeling. And we start to discern the pain from the knowledge of good and evil. And that pain has to find justice. And I tell you something, that pain will never be able to produce a justice that is right according to God.
Come on. Bible study gonna be great tonight.
I was waiting for today. I was like, "Ooh, I can't wait for Thursday to come." And so what I want to articulate and what I'm sharing is, as I'm revealing in the spirit how human beings were designed and how they are not designed. All these conversations that Lauren and I talk about, I love these topics so much because unless we understand the foundation of each space we go into about relationships, you guys will hear the expression of something without understanding the root of it. And the root of it is the most important part, because now you get to see people of what's going on in their heart instead of looking at how they're expressing themselves and what's happening to them. And so when we stop letting the sensibility, our emotions, and what we're sensing about everything that we think is spiritual discernment, and it's not, it's just your sensuality. And how do we discern the difference between sensuality and spirituality? Is that when we go to God about what we're sensing and feeling, and he starts to confirm it. Well, if God ain't confirmed it, I would say it's sensual until it's confirmed. And we have a discernment meter where we've been in survival for so long, we think everybody's out to hurt us. And you know what I would say? I would say you're walking in offense. And a heart that's rooted in offense can't see love, Lauren.
No.
And most of the world is in it. The reason why we ask if you went to therapy is not because we want to hear the story of a person and how they process what they went through and to build an intimacy about the vulnerability of the pain that happened to them, to know how it has affected them, to see how we can support them, to see how it can expose something in us that we can bring to the table and say, man, that happened to me too. Now we're connecting. Now we're joining together. Now we're creating connection. We don't do that. We ask people, why do they go to therapy? So we can be able to qualify them as a person who will hurt us the least.
Now we out here doing risk management.
And can I tell you, I would say that your heart could be rooted in offense when you're trying to discern where love is and what it looks like. And offense can't tell you what love look like because it ain't no offense in love.
No.
So we're using all of the roots of what's born from fear, what's born from pain, what's born from all the things that have happened to us. And then we use all those things that we think are wisdoms to start telling ourselves where love is found. And it can't tell us. And that's why we need somebody to enable us, because we're like, well, as long as they're enabling me, they can't hurt me.
Because enabling feels like empowering.
And all it is enslavement to self.
Come on. That's all it is.
Enslavement.
And then you invite somebody else to join you in the cage. Have another bunk.
People love to sit on their own throne and think that they can really be God, and then get mad when nobody wants to worship them as that.
Yeah. Mm. You said something, and it about fear, and it made me think about, is it First John, the scripture that says, "But perfect love casts out fear."
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Because why? The fear of what? The fear of punishment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what punishment? That we will be rejected by God, that we will be condemned by God, that God will leave us, that God will forsake us, that we will never be enough in his eyes, that we will never be found as glorious to him, that we have to work and service our life to ensure our debt is paid for the sin that he said he already paid for and he already defeated. And
Right.
we start to live from the fear of punishment, and we call it loving God. Let's talk about it. You got 10 more minutes. You got 10 more minutes, Lauren. You got 10?
Yes, I got it.
Because now let's go to our relationship with God. We've talked about our relationship with one another. We've talked about our relationship with self. I want to talk about our relationship with God. There are so many people, and this is why I love, because we get to minister to these people through this podcast and other gamuts of what God has called us to serve with him in. There are so many people that call their faith them loving God, and they don't even know that what they define their love for God is born out of the fear of punishment.
Which puts him in prison. Because you want to go to prison, that's a punishment.
Love and fear don't go together.
It doesn't. They oppose each other.
You can't say that you love somebody from the fear of what they could do to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's most people who call themselves Christian today.
Mm.
And here's the scary part. They're afraid of God having a quality in himself that he doesn't even possess. That's why I always tell you, pain and fear can't help you see what is really true. It will always blind you, because they're afraid of something that God doesn't have in his nature to do. God is not the punisher of man. Death is.
Death is.
So when people experience death, it's not because God has punished them. It's because they have fallen in love with the fallenness and corruption that's in them, that they will not believe and come to the persuasion that they were made for eternal life. They think death is better. And God is such a loving person. He's like, I got to let you have what you want, even if it's not me. Yeah. And we think that God, in his mercy, to let you choose, because it can only be love as long as it's consent.
Come on. It can only be love if only it's consent.
And we think the only way that we can walk in this love is God should take our consent away. And then we think, why don't everybody else love God the way that I do? And God's like, well, you don't really love me. You are so afraid of me that you think you serving me is from a place of love. And I told you, I did not come to be served, which lets you know you don't see me as I am. So the fear of punishment is robbing so many people from their own self-enablement of believing what they think loving God's look like, and they've never even asked him, God, what does it look like for you to be loved? Isn't it interesting? We come into dating, we come into relationships. What's your 5 love languages? How do you like to be loved? Mine is this, and this, right? We talked about how everybody wants to study everything to make money, to build their dreams, to have their house, to have whatever they want in the world. But the one thing you'll always be doing is in relationships and love, and it's the thing that we're the most uneducated about and the most ignorant and unlearned, right? Mm-hmm. Well, when it comes to God, we date and we ask these questions, and then we come into lovership with God and we don't ask him. We make the assumption, well, I know how God likes to be loved. How do you know? You just spent the last 25 years before you came into salvation, not even knowing him. So how do you know? How was he a stranger before? And now you done went to 10 Bible studies, and because you did a year's worth of a Bible study program, now you think you know him.
That's the invite of taking advantage.
But it's enablement. We're still in self-enablement. We are still idolizing our understanding about a person that we haven't even allowed ourselves to get to know. Yeah. We're still under enablement. Psalm 139. All God talks about is him knowing you. That's it. The whole chapter, God knowing you. How he feels about him knowing you.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? Nobody talks about how much God knows them. All people think faith is found in them knowing God. And that ain't where faith is found. The Bible says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Well, that's where faith was, and you weren't there. So faith was already there before you ever came into the equation. So God can't depend or does not define faith on your ability to understand him or get him right. So now we're self-enabling again. Well, God, because I'm called and I got a destiny. I'm like, you really think God is like really up here with his plans? Like, I got all these things for you to do, and he just did it all? That's how I know we don't know him. All we talk about is how our life is meant to serve, and he just came and says, I've come to serve you. He just said that in your flesh you are dead. These themes, dead, expired. It's dead. I'm moving it, but it's dead. It's going to die. Right? Unless the Lord raised me up from the grave on the third day in this body, but I hope he don't, because I want one with no death in it. Right? It's dead.
Yeah.
Well, we still think he needs this to prove his life.
Come on.
So we're still in self-enablement with God because we think our ability to understand him is what's going to persuade him. You see that I love you? Do you understand? Do you understand how enabling? Do you understand how like egotistical that? Do you understand how much pride that is in our own heart? That we say that we have intimacy with a person that we're not even curious about asking him how it feels like for him to be loved by us. Won't even ask. We just throw out scriptures. Well, it say here, well, have you asked him? I didn't say, did you read it? I said, have you asked him? And people get mad because they don't even know that God is a person until they get desperate. God is only a person until you need him.
Come on. Yeah.
Right. So in all these phases that I wanted to take these extra minutes, we're talking about our relationship with God, our relationship with self, our relationship with one another, and how enablement, it comes and it corrupts us in every form, because the relationship that we were made to be born into is a relationship we're walking and enabling. I'm just telling myself what God is, and I ain't even asking God, do you believe that? What do you think about that? I've been reading this chapter for the last 6 months. Is this what you believe? People say, you need to study your Bibles. And I never hear anybody say, and then test it with God. I'll never hear it after that statement. You want to test everybody else, but you don't test you? Lauren, do you understand how many things that I believed that I thought were true? And I went through life choosing and believing from those things. And I was like, God, oh God, why is thy suffering servant experiencing such calamity? He says, because you have chosen things based on things that I don't believe in. But whenever you want to know what I do believe in, I'm here to reveal it to you. And I realized I was walking in my own self-enablement of what I thought God believed and didn't ask him if he believed in that. And I started walking in a life that was bringing forth pain unnecessarily.
Yeah, but scripture says that he will answer. Like if you ask him, he's sure to answer, right? So we don't exercise that. And so we think that he about as dead as them pages in their Bible.
Hey, you hear me?
And that's really where it ends for us.
and we think the pages is the thing that came from the grave. We think the book is what was nailed on the cross. We think a Bible is going to come out of heaven. If they burn all the Bibles in the world, we don't think God can be revealed. You know what's so interesting? The people who literally had access in the inheritance of the Bible at the time, the man who was said, I'm coming to show you I ain't just the book. He came and they still didn't know him. So how powerful is your Bible if you can't see the man that God is in the flesh? If you can't see that he is God in the flesh, then it don't matter what you do with them scriptures. They render you void.
Yeah.
People are reading and it's driving them down an aimless road because they don't see the person of Jesus, of who he really is. They don't even know.
No.
They preaching the gospel like they don't know. Because if you did know, Jesus don't talk like that. So enablement, how it corrupts, how it poisons, how it brings us into deficit and disconnection and imprisonment and in bondage. And it gives us the illusion that it's producing love and freedom and happiness and fulfillment and satisfaction. And we're like, this is where life is found, because everything is based on whatever I believe. I get to have it as I say. That's the power of enablement. That's all I got.
Hey, Lucas.
What's up, bro?
No, it's not. This has been so good. I hope that this live has blessed you as much as it has blessed me. And tonight is the night, our Bible study night, every week, every Thursday, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We have a virtual Bible study. So click the link in my bio. I'll make sure I drop the link in this live, and join us as we dive deeper into God's heart, his love for us, our love for him. And let's just be a part of that beautiful community where we see God as our Father, not our warden. So I pray that this blessed y'all. This was so good. I'm done. I'm complete. Like I like to tell Jared, I'm complete.
I've emptied myself. I have emptied.
Y'all shared a lot. I hope y'all blessed. Go watch the replay or something. That's how we
Love
got.
y'all.
Juice.
Peace. All right, my live is ended.
Okay. Let's see what mine's doing. Ending there.
Why you set me off like that?
Wait, hold on. Wait, I don't.
Oh, you still like? Oh, you ain't ended it.
I'm trying to end it.
This is the post credits, y'all. This is the post credits. It's all right. Y'all can be a part of it. This is where me and Lauren talk about the episode after it's over or the live, and then we get excited about what God has revealed. So y'all could be a part of the behind the scenes.
Okay, so it's not ending on my end. I don't know why.
Okay.
You want me to... Instagram is disconnected. The stream. Okay, so
it did the same as mine. Yeah.
Okay, but
I ended mine.
But it's like I ended mine too, but it's like my screen is frozen.
Oh, you want me to end it on my end?
Can you? Can you hit end stream?
I'll just I can't hit end stream, but I could just leave the studio.
No, Jared.
Are you sure it's still up though?
I don't know. Check your Facebook page, see if you see it. It says live. It's live on our other platforms. Here it goes.
I know.
Hold on.
I'm good.
I got it.